with the Democratic Women's Club of Pasco County. And someone had pointed that out to me, and I have seen that video so many times, and I had never noticed that they don't use President Bill Clinton, but Hillary's husband. So I'm kind of vying for him at this point to become our new First Lady. So hello, and thank you all so much for being here today. I want to thank, of course, Ken Savage for reaching out to me and inviting me to speak with all of you today on behalf of the super PAC that is Ready for Hillary. My name is Darr. I've met a couple of you before, and I live right over in Pinellas County, so I'm not too far. Just a little bit of background about me. I'm the founder and the current president of the Florida Student Global AIDS campaign, which I will be launching on April 10th, which is National Youth HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, where I'm going around to all the college universities with my board, which is made up of young Democrats and young Republicans under the age of 30, to go talk about the importance of young people getting involved in their government and in their communities, to talk to them about the dangers of unprotected sex, HIV/AIDS, and reproductive health care, and why we need to lobby the legislators, in particular in Tallahassee, who oftentimes attack human rights and reproductive health care. And that I'm the Bureau of Speakers of the Democratic Women's Club of Florida, which is how I have kind of gotten around here to Pasco County. And I do a lot of stuff with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and working in pediatric cancer research with the Stephen D. Hosenfeld Research Center for Blood Disorders and Cancers. So what I also do, what I love to do, is I'm currently a region lead to the Millennial Council of Ready for Hillary. Now, the Millennial Council of Ready for Hillary is a young professional fundraising arm of Ready for Hillary, of young professionals under the age of 40 who are working to put into place a grassroots infrastructure and organizational effort in terms of field operation to draft Hillary Clinton to run for president of the United States in 2016. You know, if you've watched the news lately, especially the last 3 weeks, you would think that 2016 has already begun. Some of you might not be aware of this, because I didn't know this until today, but we had somebody that just filed to run for president yesterday. Take a guess. It's not a Democrat, it's a Republican.
Rand Paul.
It is Rand Paul, and that should scare you. Because it scares me, because he's not his dad. But you know, before I begin my remarks today, I of course want to address some of the things that have been going on in the media as of late. Of course, I am talking about the emails that were sent while Hillary Clinton was serving as Secretary of State at the State Department, as I'm sure that that is going to be a question that some of you might have, and people are kind of wondering why it has been so blown out of proportion and been such a big deal. You know, I personally believe it's kind of going back to the Clinton administration of this idea of a vast right-wing conspiracy and an attempt to discredit Hillary Clinton in any potential campaign for president that she may launch in the very near future. Looking at the situation pragmatically, you would see that this is truly a fabricated story to validate the fact that many of the Republicans in Congress and in Washington, D.C. are just that. They're D.C. They just don't care. This is a way to divert attention from many of the Republicans in Congress who are in the numerous governors of states and other elected officials in state houses and state senates who are conservatives, who are oftentimes making choices, but they're bad choices, in particular for middle-class families who are struggling to make it in this tough economy in the state of Florida. The fact remains clear. Republicans are failing. Time and time again, putting our national security at risk by, if you remember, it wasn't too long ago, shutting down the government of the United States, and even now signing a letter drafted by a Republican senator from Arkansas. I like that he's from Arkansas, but I don't like some of his views, and that is Senator Tom Cotton, to Iran, which undermines any foreign policy decisions that the Obama administration, the current Secretary of Defense, and the current Secretary of State may do in the second term of the Obama administration, which will drastically affect whoever is president in 2016. whoever she is. Now, this is a way, of course, to divert attention from the fact that time and time again, Republicans all over our country are hurting middle-class families. Whether it be trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which they have tried to do so over 50 times, cutting food stamps and benefits of those who desperately need relief and financial assistance from the federal government, cutting Social Security and Medicaid expansion, as we now like to call it, closing the coverage gap. And not only that, but attacking human rights issues such as gay rights, but also attacking whom the Republicans think are the most vulnerable in our nation. And that is the future of women and girls and their rights to their own bodies and the common sense principle and idea in 2015 that is equal pay for equal work. You know, just on the first day of the newly elected Congress this year, there was a bill drafted to make abortion illegal and attack other health care services that should remain private between a woman and her doctor and between spouses and families of others who wish to keep this a matter of family planning and privacy. Again, this has simply been nothing short of an opportunity by the Republicans to divert attention from the fact that they are failing, and to be frank, that they are scared of what we Democrats, with Hillary Clinton, if she decides to run for president, are going to unleash upon them all across our nation and right here in the state of Florida in 2016. And it's simple, really. Hillary Clinton, while Secretary of State, she used a server that she has been using for years. Years. It's been a server that both she and her husband used to send and receive any online communication. Why is this? Well, it was a server that was secure and protected by the Secret Service. As many of you can recall, that Hillary Clinton was once a former First Lady, and her husband was once a former President of the United States of America. So they are guaranteed Secret Service services for the rest of their life, which include online issues that they might have required for their personnel and any kind of government-issued IDs that she might have in the future. You know, Hillary opted out of using a government-issued email and used her own personal email instead of using that government-issued email address, and used one device rather than two. Why is that? Because it kind of makes sense. I'm thinking about myself, and I'm thinking about all of you. Who really wants to carry around two phones on their person at one time? That is Emailgate. So this, again, has been nothing more than an opportunity to attack Secretary Clinton and her ideas for the future and the policies that she may set forth if she decides to run for president in 2016. So that's that. So now into positiveness. You know, we're living in a time of such harsh economic restraints that are placed on many of our families, seniors, our veterans, and young people all across our country, and in particular here in the state of Florida. Time and time again, we hear of so many middle-class families who are struggling to make it in a tough economy that seems to have just been rigged against them. Whether it be having to choose between rent and groceries, utility bills and healthcare costs, but others hoping that they don't get sick because they still can't afford health insurance. Young people who feel stuck because they don't have the financial means necessary or the opportunities to be able to pursue their own dreams because they can't afford the astronomical cost of going to college. You know, and this is a Clinton Foundation statistic. You know, there are over 6 million people in the United States alone, just last year, between the ages of 18 and 24, who have graduated from high school, but who have not gone to college because they say that they can't afford it and they're still at home living with their families. 6 million people between the ages of 18 and 24 who feel stuck and they don't have opportunities or means necessary. That is completely unacceptable, why the Republicans sit on their hands and do nothing. Well, let's face it, that's what they do best. You know, it's that, and also the fact that many of them feel as if they're being taken advantage of by the predatory student loan companies. Now, we must fix this. We must fix what is broken, and the only way to do that is to vote. You know, and this is true, 2014 was the lowest voter turnout since 1942. Can't just blame young people. I mean, you can definitely blame them. We always take the blame, but it's everyone. Lowest voter turnout since 1942. That cannot happen in 2016. Now, I was in Pasco County in January, where I had an opportunity to speak briefly with one of our State House of Representatives, Amanda Murphy, who currently resides here in Pasco County. And she and I were talking, and she said that there are about 39 Democrats in the Florida House of Representatives. That's appalling. A super majority for the Republicans in the State House and the State Senate, while Rick Scott remains governor of this state. And you know, Rick Scott as governor, whoever would have been governor last year, had it been Charlie, Nan, or Rick, they control this supervisor of elections. Supervisor of elections, whoever is put into place, is going to hurt whoever runs for president in 2016. We are taking such significant steps back when the only direction that matters in life, as Hillary says, is forward. We need to move forward, and we need to elect a leader who is ready to lead on day one. And her name is Hillary Rodham Clinton. As many of you know, Hillary Clinton has a history of creating progress and shattering any ceiling that has ever been placed in front of her, except for one. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's funny, Hillary, I joke with some of my friends, especially this week, Hillary has a history of shattering ceilings, and I have a history of shattering cell phones. This will be, since Sunday, I have cracked my cell phone screen twice. So I'm hoping to shatter ceilings and no more cell phones going into 2016. But, the presidential election cycle, again, just has so much at stake. And for those who oppose Secretary Clinton and any potential campaign for president that she may launch, I remind them of this. Whoever runs for president in 2016 and wins the presidential election cycle of 2016 has a very significant possibility and opportunity to appoint, and this should scare you, four Supreme Court justices. Four Supreme Court justices. So going into 2016, and anytime you ever get disappointed, sad, angry, tired, happy, excited, think that. 4 Supreme Court justices. Hillary has always fought for us, so we must fight for her, because the Supreme Court, no matter who is president, is going to decide the direction of the United States of America. Yep. And that is what this is all about. The Supreme Court will pave way for the future of young people like myself, which is why I personally am so invested in this for 2 years now, to ensure that we draft Hillary Clinton to run for president in 2016. Whether it be her time as First Lady of Arkansas, where she worked deeply to improve the education system in the state of Arkansas, to working as an attorney at Rose Law Firm, to her time working at the Children's Defense Fund in Hippie in New York City, where she focused on early childhood development issues, to her role as First Lady of the United States of America, where she fought for middle-class families and single mothers like my own mother, women's rights, income inequality, and the big one, healthcare reform. Now, how many of you in this room, by raise of hands, remember what they like to call Hillary Care? You remember it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was in 1994, if you can believe that. And as I am standing here and speaking with all of you today, just think, I was 4 years old in 1994. And in 2010, we made such remarkable progress by passing the Affordable Care Act under the Obama administration, which is constantly under scrutiny and attacked by so many of the Republicans all across our nation. Shortly after being First Lady of the United States of America, Hillary went on to become a United States Senator, representing the great people of New York, and then, of course, to more recently, becoming the 67th Secretary of State in the first term of the Obama administration. The fact remains clear. While serving as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton became the most traveled Secretary of State in United States history, logging more than, it's mind-boggling, I don't know how she slept if she did, logging more than 1 million miles and traveling to over 112 countries in 4 years while at the State Department. There are so many other foreign policy decisions and successes in the first term of the Obama administration, while Hillary was at the helm of the State Department. Whether it would be brokering a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in November of 2012, which had lasted up until recently, my favorite one, which is ridding the world of the man that was Osama bin Laden, the liberation of the Libyan people and the overthrowing of Muammar Gaddafi, the opening of Myanmar, which in return freed over 2,000 political prisoners who wished to have a say, a voice, and a vote in their government, which again, I stress the importance of voting. People in other countries all around the world who are dying, being beaten, stoned to death, jailed for eternity for the rest of their life, dying for the right to vote. Which is why in 2016, I can see everyone in this room is going to make sure that they go out and vote and tell everyone that they can, that we must vote. And as Democrats, it's simple. When we vote, we win. The list, of course, goes on. Hillary did so much to improve the image abroad and the brand of the United States and what we stand for as Secretary of State. And I, for one, am truly proud of her work, for her efforts, and her extraordinary ability to pragmatically lead and represent the United States around the world. Fast forward now to 2015. There is so much more at stake than the future of our country and the future of young people like myself and the Supreme Court. We need to elect a president who is going to take on the pharmaceutical companies who are taking advantage of others with disease and illness who can't afford prescription medications because oftentimes the price of medication for one is so astronomically high in comparison to their monthly gross income. We need to elect a president who again is going to take on the predatory student loan companies and fight for young people to be able to pursue their own dreams and get degrees, not debt. We need to elect a president who is going to protect, fight for, and strengthen the Social Security system for our seniors while closing the coverage gap and protecting the benefits of veterans who have so valiantly served and fought for our great nation over the course of the years. We need to elect a president who is going to take on the oil companies. We need to elect a president who is going to take head first the national security interests of the United States to protect and defend our economic interests at home and abroad while protecting the United States from many national security threats that ISIS may launch at us in the future. We need to elect a president who is going to build upon the good work of the Affordable Care Act and protect universal health care for every single American, while improving the education system for children and the future minds of children in the early childhood development stages. We need to elect a president who will not just raise the federal minimum wage, but raise the minimum wage for every American, because both Bill and Hillary Clinton believe that as the cost of living goes up, guess what? It's common sense. So should one's wage, so you're not consistently following behind. And as many of you may recall, Bill Clinton, as president, raised the minimum wage twice. We need to elect a president who's going to do exactly what Bill Clinton did with the economy, and that is to create millions upon millions of jobs while cutting down the national deficit and creating a surplus so America can win again, so families can win again, so our seniors, our veterans, children, young people, and future generations of children can win again. So, as Chelsea Clinton was saying, so we all have the opportunity to live up to our own God-given potential and live out the American dream. And above all of this is an opportunity for the world's women and girls to win. If Hillary Clinton is elected, think about it, as president, she will be a voice, truly, for us all. And Hillary Clinton, as president, will be a voice for the millions of women and girls in America and all over the world who speak the same language. And oftentimes that is the language of silence. We need to elect Hillary Clinton as